Well, here we go again, guys. Anthony Richardson has re-injured his surgically repaired shoulder. Meanwhile, at OTAs, Daniel Jones had a pretty nice day out there on the practice field. Let's get to it.
You are Locked On Colts, your daily Indianapolis Colts podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right. Thanks for tuning in and making us your first listen of the day. This is your daily podcast covering your Indianapolis Colts, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And today's show is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNFL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off of your first year. What is up, friends and family? This is Jake Arthur of horseshoehuddle.com. I'm your resident credentialed media member for the site, reporting to you all about these OTA practices that we've been able to see over the last couple weeks. And before we even got to practice yesterday, got a little dose of bad news. So Shane Steichen came in and told us that Anthony Richardson, the surgically repaired shoulder that he had as a rookie back in 2023, he experienced some pain in it during practice last Thursday. So essentially, they have elected to put him on the shelf for the rest of this week, as well as next week's 3-day mandatory minicamp. And obviously, that is a gigantic setback for this in the short term, this quarterback competition between Anthony Richardson and Daniel Jones. But also, let's just call it what it is. Availability is the best ability. And that was already like half of the reason the Colts needed to bring in Daniel Jones in the first place to compete with Anthony. And we didn't even get to training camp this year. And I think the most disconcerting thing is this isn't a new injury for Anthony. It's a re-aggravation of something from 2 years ago. Basically, how Shane Steichen described it is it just flared up from, repetitive use over time. So quarterbacks got to throw the ball. He rehabbed that thing pretty thoroughly last year. There were no issues with it last year, really. So they thought this was something that was going to be in the rearview mirror. So again, he's out indefinitely. There's really no timetable put on this. They do hope to have him back by training camp or within some time in training camp. So when I look at that, I asked Shane Steichen this directly. I was like, what does this mean for the quarterback competition? Because you're supposed to be comparing these guys 50-50. Well, now one of them is going to miss a huge chunk of this competition. So realistically, you got to pour a lot of resources into Daniel Jones. At a certain point, they have to know who the quarterback is. They have to build a plan, and they got to get going. Now, another reason they brought Daniel Jones in specifically was because they didn't feel they needed to drastically change the offense if they had to go from Richardson to Jones or vice versa. Because obviously switching in between Anthony Richardson and Gardner Minshew and Anthony Richardson and Joe Flacco, that's two different styles of quarterbacks in each scenario. So in this, not so much. I know the Colts like the fact that Daniel Jones can operate a lot of the RPO stuff, a lot of the quick shots, and he can move around a little bit as well. I do think they want to utilize that mobility a little bit. So yeah, this is definitely something where I think there already was a good argument for Daniel Jones to be the Colts quarterback, just because if you're looking for consistency, I think Anthony is a long way away from consistency. I think you absolutely lose the high ceiling of this offense. Because there's Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson are two short examples, maybe Jaden Daniels, of the things that Anthony can do specifically. There are just not a lot of guys out there that can do it when it comes to the mobility and how he's able to get rid of the ball when he's literally his feet aren't even on the ground, his ability to avoid sacks. So Anthony has some special abilities that would be missed if he is not the starter. I think a lot of us wanted this scenario where he showed enough that he was going to be the starter, and then You hope for, a clean bill of health and this and that, but that's already kind of been dashed. That's not to say that Anthony can't still win the competition. I just think it makes very little sense to this point. Number one, he's not going to have the amount of work in over the offseason that Jones would have. And we always were going to be waiting for the other shoe to drop with Anthony. I've said this on the show many times already. Let's say he was having a Pro Bowl caliber year. Well, still, every time he gets hit, you're holding your breath. You're going to be waiting, when is he going to get hurt again? And so at a certain point, I just think you almost have to take that concern off the table and just go with the guy who is probably going to be more boring, but give you more consistency on the field. And you can predict a little bit better what you're going to be able to do with your offense week to week. It's just very disappointing, and I don't think it's the way anyone would have wanted this thing to go. Now, again, I'm probably talking about it with more finality than the Colts would be willing to discuss. But again, let's just be real. If Anthony won the starting job, would you not hold your breath every time he got hit? It just seems like he would win the job based on having some sparkling training camp, which he may not be around for the entirety of training camp. And it seems unlikely just because he makes big plays, but he has not been consistent. Some of the layups and stuff just haven't been there. So I think if I'm the Colts, I just think number one, you're spending the next several weeks. I mean, I know they're going to have 6 weeks off in between mini camp and training camp, but you got to have a plan at some point. And there's one guy who you're pretty confident that's going to be there, and that's Daniel Jones. And he's someone who could probably get more of your pass catchers involved at a more consistent level, and you can plan ahead better for it. I just think it's a sad reality of it. Again, it sucks that this is how it's gone, but I mean, what are you confident in right now? I don't think any of us think for certain that Daniel Jones is going to be awesome. I think there's a small chance that he could be a high quality player for them, like we talked about the other day in our unpopular opinions episode. But yeah, I don't see how you can have confidence in Richardson going forward. As a player, I think there's hope that he could be good. He has some really high highs, but just for the fact alone now that he has not been able to stay on the field, I mean, that's through no control of his own, but that's the reality of it. This is going into year 3 now where we didn't even make it into the 3rd year, and he's just got all of these issues with his health. So obviously, I mean, guys, let me know what you think about this quarterback situation here, and then if you think they should just even internally just kind of plan to move ahead with Daniel Jones, what you think they really need to do with the quarterback situation. So outside of that, there actually was a practice on Thursday to talk about. Daniel Jones looked pretty good, and there were some other standouts as well. So I will let you guys know here in just a moment what I took down on my notes. You guys ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all of my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track, and it's easy for that stuff to pile up, and you just rack up things in one weekend that you wish you kind of had back. But that's where Monarch Money comes in. It's your personal CFO. They give you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app either. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all of your accounts, investments, and spending all in one place, so that you stop just managing your money and you can be kind of proactive with it. You can start building wealth. When I started using Monarch, I realized just how much I was spending on food delivery. DoorDash is bae. Everyone, I'm sure a lot of you can share in that same instance. Apologies for using the term bae. It does not sound good coming out of my mouth. But now I budget smarter and save more. Instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch to check your finances, track spending, and even plan long-term goals. Managing money with your partner is smoother than ever now as well. You could track shared and personal accounts, set goals, and stay on the same page without the stress. So take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Just use the code LOCKEDONNFL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off of your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONNFL for half off of your first year. All right, so who stood out on the field on Thursday, let's first talk about the guys who weren't there, because it's a lot of it. Normally during this OTA period, they let guys sit out a good bit, so as to not risk them going into minicamp, and then that they can have kind of a clean bill of health going throughout the 6-week off period before training camp. So DeForest Buckner was not there. Isaiah Land, Josh Downs, Maximilian Mang, Drew Ogletree, Zaire Franklin, Jalen Carlisle, Samson Ebukam, Kwity Paye, Jalen Jones, Daniel Thomas. During the day, Michael Pittman Jr. got caught up again, like the same thing that happened last year, just banged knees with a defender, and he kind of limped off the field. He's going to be fine, but I think the Colts are probably going to keep him out throughout minicamp next week. Jonathan Taylor was back. He had been working out away from the team in Florida. I kind of figured he would just be out the rest of OTAs and come in for the mandatory minicamp, but he was back yesterday. And then that was pretty much it as far as, the most notable ins and outs that go on. So Daniel Jones' performance, I was pleasantly, surprised with how he did. It was, last week when we saw him, it was a little bit of just what you would expect, a lot of short to intermediate stuff. I think the big questions about him, obviously, other than just kind of just being a dink and dunker and kind of a boring quarterback game manager, is pushing the ball down the field. Like, you see Daniel Jones come out there and perhaps being the starter, and you're say, well, there goes Alec Pierce's value there. But near the end of practice, they did a 2-minute drill, and Jones ripped it and found Pierce for about 40-ish yards or so down the right sideline. And a couple plays later, they went down and scored a 4-yard touchdown to A.D. Mitchell. So I really liked what I saw from Jones out there. During 7-on-7s, he was 3 of 5. His 2 incompletions were caused by Nick Cross, who had a really, really good day. On the first one, it was just good coverage by Cross, and he just got physical with Michael Pittman and was able to knock it away. And the next one, just a couple plays later, Jones found Will Mallory along the left side, and then Cross kind of stripped it from him as they were falling to the ground. I thought it could have been an interception, perhaps, but I don't think the Colts counted that way. So it was a really good series from Nick Cross. Cross, for what it's worth, I feel like every time we get to see him, the guy's confidence has grown so much, and him making big plays has become an expectation now. Like, every practice, it's no longer just flashes. Like, he's one of those guys that shows up and makes plays most days. So I'm kind of expecting some pretty big things from him. Back to Jones. In the 11-on-11s, he was 6 of 9 through the air. Had a few completions to Michael Pittman Jr., had one to DJ Giddens, had the one to Pierce, and then, of course, the touchdown to Mitchell that I mentioned. So no official interceptions for Jones today, had the 1 touchdown. So again, Pittman was pretty involved. The tight ends weren't quite as involved as they were last week. Tyler Warren did get, a catch or two. Will Mallory did get a catch or two during like 7-on-7s. But as far as like all the chunk plays and high level of involvement that we saw last week, it wasn't quite the same this week. But that's okay. That's bound to happen. One guy I was pretty impressed with was A.D. Mitchell. That little short touchdown, the 4-yarder, it was, easy money. Just they found him over the middle of the field. But he had a couple big plays on the day. During 7-on-7s, Jones found him over the middle of the field for a catch and run of at least 20 yards. In a game where he can actually be tackled, he may have taken it for 5, 10, 15 more yards. So that was a big play. And then there was a rep where Jason Bean found him along the left sideline, and Mitchell had to kind of jump up and adjust to the ball and do a little pirouette and got both of his feet in bounds. So you saw the separation that we all knew he could do, but you saw completing the play. We all know what he can do before the ball's in the air, but once the ball's in the air and it's time to catch it, that's when things have kind of fallen apart. And I thought he had a really good performance doing that. Showed off a ton of athleticism as well, and the ability to make difficult catches, which, was frustrating because it's something we all knew he could do. We saw it last summer, but then, when the games came on and it was during the season, like, he just could not finish plays. And that was obviously pretty frustrating, but, I know the Colts are pretty pleased with what they've seen from him since they've gotten back in the building. So maybe a sign of things to come. Riley Leonard had an okay day as well. There was a play where he found Laquan Treadwell over the middle of the field for a play of about 20 plus yards, kind of similar to the one I described with A.D. Mitchell. I mentioned the offenses simulated a 2-minute drill as well. Leonard didn't get a touchdown on it, but he did get the offense down the field enough to get a field goal out of it. Rookie undrafted free agent Maddox Trujillo nailed a 40-yarder there at the end. And that kind of punctuates this thing. But, the quarterback competition is obviously the most notable one. But a very real competition right now is between the kickers, Spencer Schrader and Maddox Trujillo. So obviously I think Schrader is kind of the leader in the clubhouse. The Colts let Matt Gay go because they were confident in what they could get out of Schrader, and that happened before the draft. They didn't bring Trujillo in until after the draft. So I do think they legitimately have two guys they really like. Both of those guys in the field goal drills were 4 of 4 on the day, both perfect. 33 yards, 40 yards, 45 yards, and 53 yards. Trujillo obviously had the extra one there involved in the 2-minute drive. That one, again, was from about 40 yards. I will say both of these guys can kick from deep, and I think Schrader told us after practice that he's hit a 70-yarder at the indoor field there that practice was at today. But the way the ball just explodes off Trujillo's foot is noticeable. Schrader has plenty of leg and can hit him from 50, likely 60 plus yards. But Trujillo has just got a cannon of a leg. So we'll see. I mean, accuracy is going to be the ultimate thing, not just leg strength. So I do think this is going to be very interesting to track throughout the offseason. I will have that for you guys through training camp. Whenever they have days where they kick, I always chart it as well. So maybe, as a secret, when Zach is not around, we will track how the kickers are doing, or I'll just have to sneak it in on them. But nonetheless, all these camp battles that are going to be going on over the summer, we will have you covered. That was it for today. So OTAs are a wrap now. Next week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, they are going to have their mandatory 3-day minicamp. We'll talk to you every day about that. We'll have, social clips on TikTok and all that stuff. We'll bring you all the news. We got to let you know how this offense is looking without Anthony Richardson competing for it. So yeah, stay tuned to us round the clock. Again, thanks for making us your first listen of the day. For your next listen, go check out Locked On NFL Scouting. The draft is obviously over, but the roster moves and the news never stop. Your Colts fans, the news absolutely never stops. Hosts Kyle Krabs and Joe Marino will make you the most informed NFL fan this offseason. Just find Locked On NFL Scouting on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. If you guys want to become Locked On Colts Insider and chat with us directly, ask us your questions, your burning questions. What keeps you up at night when you think about the Colts? Just get the inside scoop. Obviously, this really uncertain stuff going on right now with the quarterback situation. We'd love to talk to you. Just follow the link in our show notes to sign up today. If you don't already, follow at Locked On Colts, at Jake Arthur NFL, and at Zach Hicks 2 on Twitter. We're also on TikTok and Instagram as well. All the socials were there. Also, please be sure to subscribe on YouTube and wherever you listen to podcasts. We would love those ratings and reviews as well. That's how we get new eyes and ears on the show. And with that, you guys have a great day, a great weekend, and we'll see you next week.